Okay, so we were able to find some valves and locate some cables. We were able to find the ends and determine the ends of the runs. And so, by methodically going through these wire path locations, we were able to determine where the end of the wire paths are. And we've determined that, interestingly enough, some of the wires don't go where we thought, which is why we do the methodical part of it. We did find out the end of the run is here. So there is no earth groundings, and as a result, we were installing an earth grounding plate that will get buried over here in this direction. And then we're also installing a ground rod that will go in there. We'll both connect those to the end with the surge device. This wire path leads over to this valve box. Then there is another wire that goes this way. It is connected to zone number 11, but we do not know where zone number 11 is. We think it may be this way, but it could be over there. So since we don't know, the next step is going to be to excavate this area and actually kind of follow the wire path to determine that. We did determine the wire path three-way connection runs from here over to this box, which then this wire path goes over to our three-way splice, which is back over here on the hill in the flower bed. So this three-way splice here has one cable that came from where we just were. The other cable we were able to confirm does go, we believe, in this general direction over to zone number 12, which is over there. And then we believe that the other wire goes over and dead ends over there. However, we were unable to confirm that. So somewhere between this location and that end location over there, there's an issue. So we're not sure where that is or what that is, but at this point there's no valves over there. We know it's not anything that we're missing. So at this point we're just going to disconnect that wire altogether, assume it's for future use, get it off of our live wire path and just let it lay. And then we're going to go ahead and address everything else. And then once we get the rest of the system up and working, should we realize that it is for a valve or something, then we know where it's going on there. So from that location, the valve that I was pointing to is coming to here, this location here. And this valve box has a wire path that basically just dead ends. The interesting thing, and that we did find, is that when this wire path is live, again, feeding from that three-way splice over there that's fixing to become just a splice box, energy comes to here, but it also goes back to the zone valves back here in the back. So when we energize this one cable, then the cable that comes back here to these valves also becomes energized. So the speculation and theory that we have based upon that is that we believe this entire area here is all fairly new with these pickleball courts in construction. So we are going to take the assumption that after the original installation, they came over to this one valve box here and they decided to add on, dig in this area over here, tie in to the main line and the wire path. And we are speculating that there's a three-way splice underneath here. So the plan now is to dig this valve box up, follow this wire path back towards this direction, and try to prove that theory that we have, that there's a splice here and that the other cable goes this way. We want to try to uncover that splice and know where that is. So these areas of troubleshooting this is an example of the scientific methodology. Based upon known facts, or what we know, we then can formulate theories or ideas about what could be the problem or what could be the result of test. So we form a scientific theory, hypothesis, then we decide what testings we can do to prove those theories true or false. And the result of that true or false leads us in another direction of facts and leads us further down the road to understanding what we actually have on a job that we did not install. So the earth ground I showed you is going to be at the end of the run. And what I'd like to show you is back at the controller here, we have a controller that does not have any earth grounding at the controller. So what we're going to do is go ahead and install a grounding plate, which we have inside the box, and then a ground rod as well. So we will do both a plate and a rod here. And the objective is to try to create 10 feet of distance from electrical stuff out to here. Earth grounds work very well when there's moisture. You don't want them to be dry out. You don't want them to have dry areas. So what I'm going to try to do is see if we can take our earth grounds and connect them over here in the shrubs, kind of underneath in this mulch bed area and herbarium there. Not because it's easy, but because we believe there'll always be moisture there as long as those plants are alive, and that's what's going to help our earth grounding actually do its job and connect to the earth. So we'll be installing the grounding plate and rod here and connecting both of those grounds back up into the ground lug at the controller. Therefore, the controller is earth grounded. We have the other earth ground that's going in there that showed you guys there. And then the other location that was in the back there, that we're still kind of wondering where the cable is coming from, that's also the end run. And so that will also have an earth ground on it as well. So installing the earth grounding is critical for 2-wire systems and making sure that they're there. The earth grounding process should be at the controller, and then they should be at the end of the 2-wire path. So ground the controller, then go to the ends of your 2-wire paths, and then set your earth grounds there. There, you will then start measuring and going back along the wire path towards the controller. This is where you revert back to the manufacturing specifications, which is for RainBird and the LXD, is every 500 feet or every 8 decoders, whichever comes first. So as we start to walk back from those end earth grounds along the wire path towards the controller, when we get to either 8 decoders, which we won't get to, or 500 feet, which is likely to come first, we will then at that valve, or at 400 feet or 350 or whatever that is, we will probably go ahead and install another ground rod and surge device at that valve box in that location along the wire path, so that we have a earth ground at the middle between the controller and the end of the runs. And I suspect that's all we're going to have. I think we probably go maybe 600 or 700 feet. That's about it from controller to end run. So I suspect we're only going to have 1 or 2 earth grounds in the middle, and then that'll be taking care of our earth grounds. So a little bit more work to do to finalize. Zone number 11, we know down, let's go down the 1-wire path. We'll see where that goes. We'll see where the other wire path from the backside splices together. We'll prove those out, and then we continue to move on.